Yo, welcome back to the Jam Podcast. I'm Miller. Obviously, Gavin is not here today. He will be back soon. By the way, we did predictions, didn't film them this week, but I absolutely watched them. I can't wait for him to watch this video so we can acknowledge that. I think I beat him by like 5 games. 5 games we chose differently, and I was right in every single one. Like I said, it is a different year. I know ball this year, and man, what a week 2. What a week 2. I'm excited to speak about it today. I'm going to be giving each game that happened from Thursday to Sunday. I'll react to the Monday night games tonight. We'll start doing like right after the game on some of these nightly games. We'll start doing reviews. But right now, man, we're going to touch on every single game for at least 1 second. All right. So let's go ahead and get it started. Let's start off with Baltimore and Cleveland. Like I said, I will give it's 1 second. My only takeaway was DeAndre Hopkins. If he's doing what he's doing right now, this team will be dangerous, even more dangerous than they've been already. But that's my seconds because that game was horrible. All right, let's move on to the Thursday night game. Washington and Green Bay. All right, this game, it honestly shocked me. All right, first off, I chose Washington to win this game because I thought Jaden Daniels was going to have his yearly, I thought at this point, nightly just coming out party of him saying, all right, we're this hype train that the Packers just beat the Lions. I'm going to take this down myself, be a superhero. And he couldn't do any of that in this game. Jaden Daniels, this is the first game I've seen of his pro career where it seemed like he was out of touch with his receivers. He wasn't as prepared to see the defense as he was. He couldn't get outside of the tackles and run. It was a poor showing from Washington. They could not run the football, could not pass the football, couldn't get separations from outside receivers. It was bad. I mean, there was one play specifically where it's a 4th down at the end of the game, and Jaden Daniels makes a read where it's one-on-one coverage. Hey, go in on this slant, and the corner for Green Bay absolutely locks it up from the snap to the whistle, and it was just amazing. It was amazing. This Green Bay defense, with the addition of Micah Parsons, they look extremely fast, and I don't just mean like running around the field, DBs are fast. No, they are rallying to the football, 11 hats to the ball. It's honestly beautiful to watch. And if they're playing like that, Green Bay was my Super Bowl pick last year. I was a year too early to the party. But this year I had Philly and Green Bay competing for that NFC championship. There's one more team that we'll touch on later on that I think right now looks like they're on that tier of team. But, yeah, Green Bay looks dangerous. And I think the biggest question for Green Bay is Jordan Love going to play well in these big-time moments? I think in their last 2 playoff games, if he plays mistake-free football, they have a chance to win the game. If he plays mistake-free when they're up 31-17, I believe, against the San Francisco 49ers 2 years ago, that's a game they easily should have won. And that was a game where I feel like Jordan Love did lose them the game. It wasn't based off receivers. It wasn't based off the defense that we've said that has been poor. No, it was about Jordan Love throwing 3 interceptions, and the last one was horrendous. Talk about the 3 interceptions versus Philly. Obviously, they weren't as bad of turnovers as the year before, which means he is progressing. But I thought as an Eagles fan, I was a little bit more scared of Green Bay than I was of the Rams. You know, I had a real uncertainty on if we were going to win that game based on what I had seen from the Packers and the ability of Matt LaFleur to get his team to play up to competition. So, once again, if Micah Parsons, if they needed anything, it was a guy like Micah Parsons because that defense is scary. They are fast. They are smart. They do the right things. They rally to the football once again. That is scary. And honestly, this receiving core for Green Bay, I think, is underrated. I know we've been doing they don't have a number 1 yet. Well, they still don't have a number 1. Matthew Golden had some opportunities to catch some passes. I think Jordan Love overthrew him twice and then underthrew him on a post route, which I don't think Jordan Love's play through these first 2 weeks has been stellar. But he's did enough. He's played mistake-free football and has allowed his team to win these games. But they still don't have a number 1, in my opinion. And if Jordan Love can start delivering on some of these deep passes to Golden, because now he is the kind of the deep threat as Christian Watson is still recovering, I believe. They're scary because once again, Christian Watson is not back. They obviously lost Jaden Reed, but it looks bright. I mean, I think Green Bay has Cleveland coming up in the next couple of weeks. It might be this week, actually. So they're inept to a 3-0 start, and they look like they will win the NFC North this year. Washington, once again, Jaden Daniels is the first game. I've seen him look pretty ineffective, not to his fault, but just as far as the offense goes, it's not great. And when you look at it, you look at Terry McLaurin, obviously a number one, a 1A in this league, no question about it. But he missed training camp. So there will be a slower start. And then when you look at the rest of this receiving core, it's not a lot of separation, right? You look at Deebo Samuel, he's more of a guy that can run routes. Absolutely. I'm not saying he can't run routes. I think he's been underrated in that aspect his entire career. But at this stage of his career, he's not an elite separator from man coverage, from zone coverage. It's not that. He's more of a guy that can still get the ball in his hands and be an absolute missile with the football. We're dependent on an old Zach Ertz, and Washington has the oldest roster in football. I did pick Washington to miss the playoffs this year. After that first game of watching Jaden Daniels against the Giants, which he didn't put up crazy numbers, but you just see it. I kind of regretted doing that, especially watching Seattle, who I did pick to make the playoffs, watching them play. I don't know what we got there, but yeah, man, Washington, I think they got some things to tighten up. I think they need to get that run game going a little bit more. And one thing I'll say as well, just throwing this in there, Cliff Kingsbury's offense is so interesting to watch because when you have a guy like Jaden Daniels, it's like, well, yeah, if we're in the shotgun, that's our probably the best chance to win, right? Jaden Daniels in the shotgun, making plays, being able to scan the entire defense, dropping back, whatever he wants to do, he can do. But can we go under center a little bit? Like, can we go under center? Can we get some I-form runs in the mix? Can we make it easier for Jaden Daniels? Make it a rollout? Because once again, there are not elite separators on the outside. Sometimes you have to scheme guys open. And I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is doing a great job at that at this moment in time, in this conjuncture. You obviously lose Diami Brown in this offseason, who I think scored a touchdown yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be interesting to see if this Washington team can start to dial up plays to defeat these offenses because, I mean, honestly, they've scored, 21 points in the first game and 18 in this one? Like, it's I don't know. It doesn't look great from Washington right now. So, and I expected it. As I said, I expected them to miss the playoffs. So we will see. We will see. But that's a great Thursday night game. Great showing from the Green Bay Packers. But, yeah, next game. Let's move on. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. And look, this is a game I really wanted to speak about because I believe that Jacksonville is the biggest losers of week 2. With an opportunity to go 2-0, which would be tied for the lead in the division right now. They absolutely squandered this game from start to finish. You come out, you score on a great drive, 7-0. You get right back to the red zone because Cincinnati cannot stop my little sister, my grandmother, my grandfather, anybody, quite honestly. They cannot stop anybody. You go down and Trevor Lawrence, you throw an inexplainable pick in the red zone. Since 2020, I looked this up because it seems like he's always throwing red zone interceptions. He leads the league in red zone interception percentage, tied with Tua and Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield obviously has been a baller, so I'm not going to – that's just a bad stat on his end. But Tua is not a great quarterback in my eyes, and that's the tier he's in when it comes to that red zone percentage. And it seems like Trevor Lawrence, you look at him, and it's time to just start calling it what it is, right? The arm talent, he will make some of the craziest throws, right? He is a big guy. You can depend on him. When you go to the GM and be like, why did you draft this guy? He was 6'4", 230, and could make any throw. I understand that. Those are the type of guys that if you draft, it's okay because you can get away with that. You see the talent, you think you can mold him, that's fine. Right now, Bryce Young is not one of those guys, unfortunately, and we'll get into him later. But Trevor Lawrence, do you ever have we ever seen a clip of Trevor Lawrence, his personality? Like you see clips all the time of Josh Allen and what he means to that Buffalo community. You see Patrick Mahomes juicing up his guys. You see Lamar Jackson just making electrifying plays. His talent speaks for itself almost. Jalen Hurts being a leader of his locker room. Joe Burrow being ice cold in certain moments. Trevor Lawrence adds zero juice to any song. What's a rapper that adds no juice to a song? It's like if you put Fetty Wap, or not Fetty Wap. Sorry, guys, not Fetty Wap. French Montana. It's like Trevor Lawrence is adding French Montana to a song. It's like, what are you really doing? It's like Trevor Lawrence being added to a locker room doesn't really add any juice, in my opinion. And that's what it's looked like for his entire career. They made the playoffs once, I believe, with Trevor Lawrence. And it's just, obviously this game is not all on him because we will get into another individual who just had one of the worst games I've ever seen in NFL as a receiver in NFL history. But just that's where it started off for me. That red zone interception of just, we can step on our throats right now. Cincinnati had no business being in this game. We can step on their throats right now, and we can't do it because we throw a stupid, misplaced ball to Travis Hunter in the end zone that ends up being a pick. He ended up having 2 picks in this game. And Trevor Lawrence, man, I root on him because I see the talent just like everyone else. But how can you watch that and be on his side, be on the side of where we still believe he's a top 16 No, it's not that, because he will make the throws and then he will give it right back up. Trevor Lawrence will lose you games. He will lose you games. He has the talent to win you games as well, but he will lose you games. Brian Thomas, and since we're speaking on Trevor Lawrence, the wave to Liam Cohen when he misses the guy Hyde. Liam Cohen is telling him put it on his chest, and he waves him off. You have the audacity to wave someone off, to wave your first-year coach off in front of millions of people who watch this game. You have the audacity to wave him off after a stupid red zone interception. After a stupid red zone interception. Another interception, a miss on a throw. You cannot do that. You do not have the credibility in this league, in the NFL, to do that. So that's just my problem. It seems like, we talk about character with a lot of these guys, and I honestly never take it serious with the other 21 positions on the football field. But when it comes to quarterback, I feel like some of these teams don't do that thorough interview of what is this guy actually like? How is this guy going to impact my locker room? And obviously coming into the league, he said something along the lines of him not loving the game, which in the NFL means everything, right? Because this is your job now. This is a business. You are in this building 24/7. You are this is your livelihood. So I don't understand Trevor Lawrence and his reaction to that. And it honestly, it made me a little bit mad yesterday, but it's like, for me, it's obviously not that big to everyone, but this could be the difference. This game could be the difference from you getting into the playoffs or not. You see the Colts playing great football right now. They are 2-0, and this could be the difference. Brian Thomas Jr., let's get on to you now. What happened, brother? What happened? Why are you so scared to go up and catch the football? Now, maybe, and this is what I'll put it up to, maybe this was a game where he was just disengaged. He wasn't paying a lot of attention to where the football was at, didn't really want to get hit. But it was honestly an atrocious showing from him as well. And if he makes some catches, they're probably 2-0 right now as well. And then Liam Cohen going for it. Me and my pops was watching the game. It's just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That was one of the most interesting calls I've ever seen. I think if he caught it, he had a chance to get upfield and get a first, but he might not have. I mean, he wasn't at the sticks yet. He was maybe a yard and a half short of the sticks. Travis Hunter, obviously getting that play action or pass interference. Sorry, that pass interference at the end of the game. I thought that was a ticky-tack call, but I coach football for middle school, and I tell my DBs all the time, you got to turn your head. All right, when you don't turn your head, the ref is automatically inclined to make that call, right? So Travis Hunter, he really doesn't show that he turns his head in that play. And he is out of phase. He gets beat a little bit. That ball is a little bit farther down the field. That might be a catch anyway. Now, he plays through his hands. Travis Hunter makes a great play on the ball. But, once again, you got to turn your head at some point. Yoshi Voss didn't do a great job of coming back to that football. If he had, it would have been a clear pass interference, in my opinion. But Yoshi Voss faded away with the ball. And eventually, they just called the flag because Travis Hunter did not turn his head. I didn't think it was a flag, to be quite honest, because once again, Yoshi Voss has to make more of an effort to come back to the football. But it is what it is. That's what happens when you're out of phase in the first place. So, yeah, I mean, Travis Hunter, haven't seen a lot from him yet. I think he'll be just fine. But let's move on to the next game. Cincinnati, by the way, my fault. Joe Burrow, I didn't even talk. This is an organizational failure on Cincinnati's part. We've seen it. You know you have an injury-prone quarterback, and you don't give him any protection. You choose to not draft these guys. You know your defense is horrible. Shamar Stewart wasn't going to help your entire defense. And you choose to go defense, receiver, instead of O-line. You choose to do that, and it's it honestly makes zero sense to me. It makes zero sense because now we're talking about him being out for 3 months. What is that? October, November, December. You're not getting in the playoffs. You're not getting in the playoffs. Your next couple of games, your next 5 games, Cincinnati, Minnesota, Denver, Detroit, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. I would not be surprised if by week 8, the Cincinnati Bengals are 2-5, right? And it's crazy because we've talked about their early season struggles for so long, and they finally get this 2-0 start where, quite frankly, they don't look great in either game, but they find a way to get the job done. And quite honestly, that's all we've been asking because we know what Joe Burrow can do in January and February. But now you can't even do that because your offensive line was not good enough to hold up for this guy who's having to maneuver through the pocket every single snap. And now you're left for dead because the Bengals are not making a play. I mean, Jake Browning, obviously one of the higher tier backups. He got out there and was just slinging it yesterday, 3 interceptions. But he wasn't scared. So I'll give him that. But, yeah, I think the Bengals are absolutely cooked for the rest of the season. I mean, I cannot see them even having a winning record in these next 3 games when you have the entirety of the AFC North coming and then you have a divisional game against Pittsburgh. Denver's a good roster, so we will see. I mean, we will see, but it's just an organizational failure on the Bengals' part to not protect this guy, and it's giving me a little bit of flashes of Andrew Luck, right? Joe Burrow, over these past couple of years, his facial expressions have just dropped. The wear and tear, you can see it on his face, unfortunately, and it's not a guy that wants to give that to you, but when you are playing against an offensive line that is consistently worse in the trenches than the other team, it is hard to just have an uplifting mood for your roster. Like, it's hard. So people will always ask, why do I defend Joe Burrow? It's because he has the worst front office in football, and he has rose up an organization that didn't deserve it, quite honestly. So obviously his ranking will probably go down based off his injury history at this point. He is an injury-prone quarterback, but it's sad, man. It is sad. Moving on, New York versus Dallas. No defense was played in this game. No defense, honestly, will be played from Dallas the rest of the year, it seems like. In New York, it seemed like we were walking into a season where they were supposed to be this great defense. I don't see it, quite honestly. I think they're a good tackling team right now, but other than that, not schemed up very well. I don't see the D-line killing games, taking over games. I haven't seen much from Abdul Carter. But in this game from the Giants side, we got a classic Russell Wilson game with just deep balls all over the field. Malik Neighbors making some of the most elite catches I have seen. Easily a top 10 receiver in the game at this point. Not even a discussion, in my opinion. He was making plays that should not have been made. And quite honestly, the reason they lost this game was obviously defense. You didn't step up and do anything, but I think Dallas has a pretty good offensive roster. I'd say Dallas is probably a top 10 offensive group in football. But that last play before the field goal where Dak zips it in to Jake Ferguson, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, it honestly seemed, from my vantage point, like there were 4 deep defenders, a guy dropping into the deep hole, which would usually be in a cover 2 coverage, and the guy dropping to the hole, it's like he just didn't, wasn't really thinking football. He was just thinking, all right, where's my zone? He ran, Ferguson is running up the seam, and I'm looking the whole time. I'm like, wow, yo, there's 2 guys. There's somebody in the small and like right in front, I think spying almost, a guy in the deep hole, and no one is picking this guy up. No one is picking this guy up. It makes zero sense. Like, why would you give them that? Knowing that, quite honestly, let's talk peak for peak, the Dallas Cowboys probably have the greatest kicker of all time. Peak for peak. I mean, that's not a crazy statement at this point. It's literally stats to prove that. He has 2 kicks past 64 yards in his career. The rest of NFL history also has 2. So that should tell you all you need to know. This guy is a problem. He does not miss kicks, and you let him get past the 50. Hey, once Dallas gets past the 50, they are in field goal range. And that is an ultimate weapon. And honestly, when you got a guy like that, obviously they don't come around very often. But is a guy like Brandon Aubrey not as valuable as some of these top? Is he not worth a second rounder? Is he not worth a third rounder? I don't know. I honestly don't know, because that is crazy to where he could get past the 50 and like, all right, we're in field goal range. I mean, the way Dallas ran those last couple of plays, they got it past the 50, and then they run the football. I'm like, why are we running again? We don't want to make this an easier field goal? And I'm like, in my mind, they have that much confidence in this guy. He walks out there, kicks that ball, and there was not a doubt in a single person in that arena watching the game that thing was going to go in. And he might have made it from 75 yards. So that is crazy in my opinion. And we look at the Giants' schedule moving on, and they're bound for an 0-4 start. I believe they have KC and the Chargers next, and that's not great. This was the game to win. I thought the Giants were going to win this game. Didn't pick them before the game, but I thought as the game went on, they were thoroughly outplaying Dallas, and they end up not doing that. They end up choking that game away, and now we are probably going to go 0-4 if we're the Giants, and it just seems like all hope is lost, quite honestly. So horrible loss for them. I think they know that. Sucks for Russ because he went out there and played his ass off, and obviously threw that late pick that was stupid. Just call it what it is. But yeah, man, just an amazing game in the 1 o'clock slot. On the Dallas side, their offense looks terrific. I mean, Javonte Williams has had a resurgence, obviously, and then those two receivers outside, and Dak Prescott playing to the level he's playing at. We've always known he's been in that probably 7 to 12 range as far as NFL quarterbacks. Yeah, this team is going to be pretty good in my opinion. When you have a kicking game like you do, that offense moving like it is, Schottenheimer isn't doing too bad, obviously, in his first 2 games. So it's interesting. That defense is obviously horrible. I mean, just go ball after go ball after go ball. When you know they're throwing the go ball is pretty embarrassing. But yeah, man, good game from Dallas. Way to get out of there with a win. And I don't know, man. Dallas can make some noise this year. That's what it's looking like. From this offensive unit, if they score enough points, it's kind of giving what the Cincinnati Bengals were given last year. Same exact team, in my opinion. Let's move on. San Francisco at New Orleans. Didn't watch a lot of this game, so I won't spend too much time on it. Mac attack. Mac Jones with 280 yards, I believe, in this game. Played pretty good. And on the New Orleans side, I honestly was watching their offense, and I'm like, hey, Spencer Rattler honestly is not playing horrible right now. You know, he's a second-year quarterback, wasn't drafted pretty high. At the end of the day, his guys had to help him out, and they don't have the horsepower to help him out. They just don't. They're not good. Alvin Kamara with a freak fumble, but just Fred Warner being Fred Warner, one of the best linebackers of this decade. I'd say he probably is the best linebacker of this decade. But yeah, it was Mac Jones is serviceable, especially in a Shanahan system where it's a lot of timing routes, and he was good at that yesterday. Juwan Jennings had a good amount of yards, so they'll be fine. These next 2 games, I believe, for them will be important. I think it's Arizona and another beatable team, so I do think they will win next week. And if they come out of it 4-0 without Brock Purdy, you don't know. And that's exactly why, honestly, I don't believe in the 49ers very much, but I looked at their schedule, and I'm like, this is easy. And NFL schedules aren't easy because a lot of these teams are good. But you look at San Fran's schedule, and it does pick up around the middle. But you look at their schedule, it's like, dang. You just don't see them losing these games. Like, it's hard to see. So props to the 49ers going in there without Brock Purdy and getting that done. It's always hard to win with a second-string quarterback, and you have to give them props for that. They stole a game last week. Tariq Woolen handed it to them on a silver platter. So good on San Fran's front. Rams at Titans. Also won't spend too much time on this. Rams were a better football team. Cam Ward with one of the best first touchdowns I've ever seen. Had me hyped for him. Didn't look great yesterday, though. Didn't look great. That Rams defense doesn't allow a lot of quarterbacks to look great in the first place, so I won't go too hard on him, especially with the receiving core that he has been unfortunately given. But the Rams, all right, I was talking earlier about the Eagles and Packers being kind of my, NFC favorites. The Rams are right on that tier. The Rams are right on that tier for me. They have the best receiving duo in football, along with one of the best gamers at quarterback in the league. And I know people are going to say, well, A.J. Brown and Smitty, I mean, you're an Eagles fan. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, how are they not better than Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua? Puka Nacua, I was saying, was a top 3 receiver last year. Puka Nacua does things that are kind of unexplainable. How he gets open, the strength at the catch point, run after catch, kind of runs like a running back. He's a different talent. And then Devontae Adams, when you put a route runner like that with Matthew Stafford, who already knows where you're going to be before you're there and throwing no looks all over the field, it's scary. You can run the football with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, two good backs. Obviously, the O-line is not great, probably the weakest point of their team. But that young defense, man, they are scary. They can beat any team they want, honestly, in this league, and we'll see how they develop and if Matthew Stafford can stay healthy. And that, honestly, is the biggest key for this team. Can Matthew Stafford stay healthy? I'm going to skip over real quick. Skip over to Philly and KC because I know you guys have been waiting for that. Let's get into that real quick. Philly and KC, all right? Go Birds, man. I didn't tell y'all, obviously, because we didn't do predictions, but we knew what was going to happen. Let's be quite honest. We knew exactly what was going to happen. We knew Philly was going to stomp in there and whoop them, quite honestly, because they're just a better team. And they didn't whoop them. But let's get on to the game. I'll start on KC's side because it'll be a little easier for me to diagnose. Something is wrong on the offensive side of the ball. It's quite honest. That's what it is. The O-line is still not good, in my opinion, after watching Josh Simmons or just them hyping up Josh Simmons the entire offseason. I don't see that O-line protecting very well for Patrick. To be quite honest, that offense is based off of Patrick Mahomes' legs and nothing else. Nothing else. Quite honestly, nothing else. And you look at the receivers, obviously, they don't have Worthy, they don't have Rice, so they will be back, they will be better. But Kelsey's old. Let's keep it honest. And where I thought the flow of this game was very interesting because it was like, all right, these two defenses are going to take over the game. That's fine. You got these two Super Bowl cultures, so you just think like, all right, they're throwing haymakers, they're trying not to make mistakes. And then Kansas City makes a play where Jalen Hurts is kind of scrambling in the pocket. He tries to turn up through the middle, through the A-gap, and one of their defenders just absolutely levels him, picks him up off his feet, slams him on his back. And I told my pops watching the game, I said, that could be the play that turns around KC's image of what this rivalry really is. And now we are in the driver's seat, and we're about to go make something happen. They drive all the way down the field, and I'm thinking I'm right. Like, this is KC's moment to take over the game. And Travis Kelce gives it straight back to us. He gives it straight back to us. And it's amazing because, once again, that play with Jalen Hurts, it's like you're slamming the face of the Eagles franchise on his back, right? That is a big moment. And then it comes back right around, and Travis Kelce, who's kind of been, other than Mahomes and Reed, the face of your franchise, makes a huge mistake to an Eagles rookie, and it's like, all right, the game is done. And I told my pops at that point, all right, we got it back. The game is done. And that's what it was. That's the play that changed the game. And honestly, I mean, Mahomes missed some throws yesterday too. He missed a deep route to Thornton. I think another smash concept, corner route to Thornton as well earlier in the game. So he missed a late blitz pickup from Akuba blitzing. Juju Smith was hot in the slot, so didn't throw that one. Wasn't a great game from Mahomes, in my opinion, at all. And their running backs just aren't good at this point. But Pacheco is not explosive as he was a couple of years ago. You look at Kareem Hunt, has been out of his prime for a while now. He's just a serviceable guy. So it's not a lot of juice on that offensive side. Their defense played great, but it's just not a lot of juice. Now to the Eagles side of things. In my opinion, Sirianni, I was getting on his game plan the entire time because it felt very safe. Some of the choices, the clock management at the end of the first half specifically, and them not trying to get a touchdown, it's like they were just comfortable getting three. And especially when the three was a deep one, like a super deep one, they were very comfortable leaning on their defense in this game, which on one side, it's like, okay, we're playing the champs, and it's like you're calling this game like you are the three-time Super Bowl winners. Like, you're calling this game like you know you are the best team in football, and that's what I respected about it. On the other side, I felt like we could have put our foots on their throat a little bit earlier. I thought this game wasn't as close as it looked in that first half. I thought we were just better. But there's one point where obviously we weren't good, and that is the offensive side of the ball. And Patullo, our offensive coordinator, we got to talk about this guy. I mean, we got to talk about this guy. The fact that they're showing replays and we're watching the game and we're wondering, why is Jalen Hurts not throwing the football? And they're showing the replays and it's like everyone is bagged up. How can that happen? When you have Smitty and A.J. Brown, there's just no excuse. There's no excuse to not scheme these guys open. A lot of the times I'm seeing mirrored concepts. In the big year of 2025 in the NFL, I saw a concept where you have 2 outs from the slots and a deep in from the outside receivers on both sides. In the NFL, that's not how you work on your progressions. You're trying to go from the strong side of the read, where if you have a dig and an out on the front side, that's fine, and then you're moving to the back side to see if there's any other routes that can be open on that side. No, you had 2 digs and 2 outs. They're playing the same defense. If one side isn't open, the other one probably isn't either. Right? Last week, there was a play that got highlighted by my guy Theo Ash, I believe, where they ran a smash concept, and it was both guys had hitches on the outside, and then the 2 inside guys had corners. I mean, that is a play that I run coaching my middle school football team. And yes, I coach a middle school football team. We literally have that play in our playbook. So it's like, what are we doing? Why are we not getting these guys open? Patullo, obviously, 2 years ago, we had a guy named Brian Johnson who was horrible, absolutely horrible, and Patullo has not looked much better. So if he doesn't pick this thing up, we could be in a similar situation where we look great right now because just of the winning culture we have built. But if he doesn't get it together, we're looking at a situation where it's all downhill from here because the schedule is not easy. Schedule is not easy for anybody in the NFC East. So let's get that together, please. Please get that together, Patullo. Hurts will be fine. A.J. Brown will be fine. Smitty will be fine. Saquon obviously looked good running the football yesterday. So let's please get that together because that was horrendous. That was a horrendous showing of offensive play calling and offensive aggression, quite honestly. Let's move on. Let's talk about. Sorry, guys, I'm going through my notes. I got a lot of notes here. Seattle and Pittsburgh, real quick. This game basically was exactly how I expected it to be. It was in the balance for a while. Just 2 mid teams going at each other, playing good defense for the majority of it, in my opinion. A couple red zone turnovers. Let's start with the Steelers side. They gave this game away. Off the mishandled kickoff return, guy just didn't know the rules. Quite honestly, it's kind of like you want to blame the guy, but and you want him to be more aware in that situation. That cannot happen, but that's just a freak play. And Seattle gets on that, and it's like the game is over because we just kicked 3. I look up, it's 24-14. I'm like, how does that happen? Because I have the 4 games up, the game on my computer. I'm watching 6 games at the same time, and I just look up, and I'm like, wait. I've been tuned into all these games. How do they just have 24-14 now? It was just 14-14, and the game just got out of hand at that point. And the Steelers offensively, the biggest problem for me right now is why is Aaron Rodgers the bright point of your offense? Like, seriously. I'm watching this, and he makes a throw in the red zone yesterday that ends up being an interception, and it's right off the guy's hands. The guy just wasn't expecting it. It's an absolute laser. Absolute laser. And I just don't understand what is going on there, but, you know, the running backs, actually, I do understand what's going on. Pittsburgh never has a good offensive line, right? Let's start it off there. You have a 40-year-old quarterback. He's going to get sacked a couple times if you can't protect him. Running backs are not talented at all. Jaylen Warren is their only guy that is very good behind the tackles, but he's not a number 1 running back. He's not nothing that you're a scheme beater that you're scared of. DK Metcalf has 1A. I've already discussed. I don't think he's that great as a separator. I think as an athletic talent and a downfield threat, a jump ball receiver, he is good and serviceable, but I just don't think he's the greatest at that. And then you have other guys, obviously Freiermuth, Calvin Austin, who are kind of good. But once again, when you're playing behind an O-line and a 40-year-old quarterback in a no running game, those guys' stock just goes down, right? Because once again, they've looked good before, Calvin Austin specifically and Freiermuth, just making plays for this organization. But when everything else isn't settled, they're not guys that can raise the play of everybody else, right? So that's kind of what we saw with the Steelers. Defensively, Jalen Ramsey getting burnt by Jack Smith and Jigba when obviously when Pittsburgh was trying to come back. Wasn't a great look. That's all I saw from the Steelers, and they are painfully mid once again, like I expected. Seattle, right? Moving on to Seattle. Darnold, obviously, in my opinion, is back to Darnold. He looks painfully average once again. You have Cooper Kupp, Jack Smith, and Jigba. These guys are elite separators. I don't see why he isn't being better right now. Obviously, there's not a lot of athleticism on the outside for Seattle, but once again, there's a lot of craftiness. And I feel like Jackson Smith and Jigba, it has been said that he's not a number one. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba in this league is definitely a number one. And Darnold needs to start stepping it up, in my opinion, because there's not a lot of juice coming from that offensive side of the ball. Their defense looks great. If Tariq Woolen would have made those plays last week, you're talking about this defense being probably one of the best in the league. But, they just got some things to. I thought another interesting stat in this game, Zach Charbonnet was averaging less than a yard per carry, and Kenneth Walker absolutely destroyed Pittsburgh. I think he averaged around 8 yards a carry. So interesting to see if Kenneth Walker will start once again getting the majority of the carries, because in this offseason it was sounding like it would be more of a 1A, 1B thing. But as far as how they ran it yesterday, that is not the case at all. That should not be the case at all. Interesting game right there. Two mid teams. I picked Seattle to make the playoffs. I picked Pittsburgh not to. Seattle would probably, looking at it right now, be my 7 seed, but we will see. We will see how they pick up, and Seattle knows their identity. They're going to play defense. They're going to run a football. We'll see if that can maintain or that can blossom into some wins. New England versus Miami. Was not very tuned into this game until the end because I saw it was close. I'm going to be quite honest. None of these offenses played very good. Quite honestly, none of these defenses played very good because both of these teams are not very good. And I picked the Patriots to make the playoffs, and I look back at that pick, and what was I thinking? Sometimes it's good to admit that you're wrong, but I knew that the receiver talent just wasn't good. I think I believed in Stephon Diggs a little bit more than I should have, but outside, they are pretty horrible. And I didn't even think Drake May played bad yesterday. They are just pretty bad. I think Ramondre Stevenson was their leading receiver with 88 yards. It's not very great. It's not very great. You obviously expected Travion Henderson, from everything we heard out of camp from him, to have a big role in this offense. He hasn't quite yet. I think he had 10 yards rushing yesterday. So we will see how that goes. And then Miami, who wouldn't be surprised by if week 4 Mike McDaniel is fired? He just said the press conferences with him are starting to drive me a little bit crazy. Just him getting on the mic and saying to win football games, you have to not lose or something like that. And it's like the chill, relaxed stuff is getting very annoying for, I would think, Miami fans who are looking at this, and it's like, why are you not heavily upset with this? Why are you not pissed off? Why are you still in a chill attitude? So I'm not saying he's not a great coach as far as scheme, but the way he gets on the mic at this point and is so chill and relaxed, it was funny at first. Now it's annoying as hell, especially for just someone who is passionate about the game of football. It's hard to see. And once again, Miami, you paid Tua the big bucks. He's not good. He is not good. He is not good. I repeat, guys, Tua Tagovailoa is not good at football. I know you're going to bring up all the winning stats. Oh, when he plays, he wins games. Oh, when everyone else plays, guys, he's just not good at football. All right, I watched him get out of the pocket yesterday. He is no threat as an athlete whatsoever. Jared Goff level of athlete, right? No threat. But Jared Goff is 6 whatever. See over the line of scrimmage. He looks like he's in control of the entire game. Tua, Tyreek Hill gets open at the end of the game, and he airmails it. Not even close. Not even close to the guy. And I just see some of the plays he makes, and it's like, how could anybody even believe in this guy as a football player at this point in time? I understood it a couple years ago when he's just slicing and dicing teams, being accurate. That's not where we're at right now, guys. He is an unathletic quarterback who is undersized and misses on a lot of throws. In these first 2 weeks, he has missed on a lot of throws. He has turned the ball over multiple times. Miami, I know you don't want to admit it. I know some of you guys might like your quarterback. I don't. It's as simple as that. He's not very good. Moving on. Couple more games left. I think one. Let's count this real quick. 1, 2. All right. Well, it doesn't matter. All right. Oh, wait. That's why I'm on the wrong page, guys. Sorry. I couldn't count it up. I was on some notes from last year, actually. That's how I do my work. Let's talk about Denver and Indianapolis. Interesting game. And I don't know if I'm tripping. This might just be me, but when I watched that game, I was just thinking, is Denver and Indianapolis the 6 and 7 seeds of the AFC this year? I mean, they just feel like a 6 and a 7 seed. As much as a 6 and a 7 seed have felt in the playoff picture in the NFL, that Denver and Indianapolis game felt like a 6 versus a 7 game, if that would ever happen. The Colts with Daniel Jones out there dealing 319 yards, a touchdown, running the football effectively with Jonathan Taylor. Offense looks good. And I mean good. I mean, when you're running the football like that, Daniel Jones slinging it to Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, those two tight ends. They got Tyler Warren, who I thought was heavily slept on in the draft. I think he was the second tight end drafted behind Colston Loveland. Didn't understand that because I watched the football games. I watched him at Penn State. But the Colts look a little scary, and I'd be scared if I was Houston, because Houston is in a situation where that offense is not going to work with that O-line right now. It's just not, especially if they're playing good defenses. They played the Tampa Bay Bucks tonight. I do have the Bucks winning that game based off the fact that right now that Houston offense is really hard to watch. It really is hard to watch. So once again, we will see what happens with that. But yeah, this felt like a 6-7 matchup. Easily the Broncos could have won if that last penalty is not called. It didn't have any effect on the play. So it sucks that it ended up like that. But Bo Nix, I thought, after a horrible week 1, came back and played decent yesterday, which is good for them. And Denver is going to struggle from the fact that their receiving core, I think, is just not very great. Cortland Sutton had, I think, a catch yesterday, 6 yards. I don't know if he got hurt or what, but yeah, I feel like Cortland Sutton and Bo Nix, that should be a main connection that you try to establish throughout every single game so that these other guys can start getting acquainted a little bit more too. Troy Franklin had a good game. I think he had about 89 yards when I looked at the stats earlier. He had a touchdown, I believe. So Denver by no means played a bad game in this one. They played a team that right now is playing great football. And Denver, once again, I feel like we look at the rest of the AFC, we're talking about the AFC East. You only see one team getting out into the playoffs in that division. You look at the AFC North right now, you only see one team getting into the playoffs in that division because Joe Burrow just got hurt. And you're looking at Indianapolis and Denver, like, these are some playoff teams. So it was a wonderful game to watch. I was tuned in because there were only 2 other games going on with the Philly and KC game, so I had to watch it. So yeah, props to them. Let's see what the Colts can do from this point forward, because moving forward, they have some games where it's kind of a 50-50. Like, the way the Colts are playing, these are just going to be great games, and we will see once again what happens. Carolina and Arizona, right? This pains me to say, as a man from Charlotte, as a man who wants the Carolina Panthers to be relevant again, Bryce Young, holy crap, dude. Holy crap. Did you forget that you had a football game Sunday? I mean, you came out and once again, it's hard to defend drafting an undersized quarterback than, a guy like Trevor Lawrence or a guy like Caleb Williams that can make any throw from any angle. But it's hard. It's hard to keep defending Bryce Young because those 2 first turnovers were just like results of him being undersized. It was like the reason he made those decisions was because he was in pressure and just little man has his eyes this way, throwing to the left, and the ball ends up sailing to the right. And, you're looking at a quarterback like Josh Allen, that will never happen because physically you can't get this guy to literally throw in a different direction. It's not going to happen. Obviously, he fumbled the ball early as well, so it's tough. It's tough with Bryce Young, obviously, but he ended up staying in it, staying strong, fighting through, and I honestly had a chance to win this game. But Carolina, it sucks. I was very I thought they were going to be a 8 or 7 to 8 or 9 win team this year. They're not that because offensively they are very predictable. Play calling doesn't stand out to me whatsoever. I thought the defense stayed in this game long enough. The defense wasn't great though at all. They let them go down the field in that last minute of the first half. That was atrocious. So Carolina is just they're cooked. And for Bryce, it would help if they had like a craftier guy in the middle that could get open. Oh, wait, they had a guy named Adam Thielen who has already made plays in the first 2 weeks for Minnesota. And now you're depending on Leggett to be your number 2 who had negative receiving yards yesterday. At some point, you got to stop eating raccoon and speaking country, getting in Glorilla videos and start actually playing football, making catches. And the one bright spot for the Carolina Panthers right now is Tet, who I think a lot of people knew Tet was going to be a good receiver, and it's just not surprising that he's doing what he's doing. Arizona has honestly looked worse, in my opinion, than I thought they were going to be. Just played the worst 2 teams in football and got 2 W's. Congrats, I guess. But you play San Fran this week. I'll be very interested to see if you could be the backup quarterback, because if you do, you kind of just have the most fluky 3-0 start that I've seen in a while. But Arizona, I think they might have a wide receiver 1 problem in Marvin Harrison Jr. And I don't want to be early to that. I don't want to speak that into existence right now, but Marvin Harrison, in my opinion, struggles as far as the athletic side of football. Obviously, he didn't run a 40, came out of high school running a 4.6, and it's kind of what it looks like he runs. 4.5, 4.6. I think it was stated that if he could run it, it would be a 4.3, which I'm not doubting that, but he just doesn't look that fast on film. Like, he got a jump ball into the end zone yesterday, and it's like there's no explosive playability in his arsenal at all. 50-50 balls, go ahead, count that out. He's not coming down with it. Just blowing past the defense, making guys miss after the catch, it's not going to happen, right? He's a good route runner, in my opinion, still a good route runner that can get open at times. It can good at tracking the football, in my opinion. But he is just not – he's not a great number 1 yet, in my opinion. He just lacks the explosivity as a 1 for this Cardinals offense to take that next step. And he needs to be more of a factor. He was pretty good in week 1, but he needs to be more of a factor, in my opinion, because I didn't think he looked great yesterday. I thought he got targets that he should have came down with. If you are that guy, if you are a number 4 draft pick, those are the plays they draft you to make. And he didn't make them. So that's kind of what I'm confused about with Marvin Harrison Jr. You talk about the best wide receiver 1s in football, and he's probably lower on the lower tier of that list as Tom is right now. But, you know, I hope he gets better and they're better, because I think if he evolves and Kyler and his connection get to where kind of a little bit less to where DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler's connection was, I think back in 2021, this team could do some damage because their schedule isn't that strong. So once again, we will see. But yeah, not a great showing, in my opinion, for Marvin Harrison Jr. Last game that I'm going to talk about, Atlanta and Minnesota. Interesting game. Very interesting game. I'm not going to call it a good one because it was pretty bad on both sides, in my opinion. But the side of the ball that stood out in this game was Atlanta's defense. Atlanta's young defense with Jalen Walker, James Pierce, 2 Charlotte guys, 1 Salisbury guy, but I'm going to call it 2 Charlotte guys. Their other corner who made one of the best interceptions I've ever seen, Billy Bowman, playing great football, almost had another one yesterday. They were flying around. Flying to the football. There were times that Minnesota could have taken advantage, but I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw. Obviously, the Minnesota's O-line isn't great right now, but if the Falcons defense continues to improve under a defensive head coach, they could be a pretty scary team, in my opinion, because you look at this offense and these skill guys, Bijan is easily a top 3 running back in football right now. I mean, you watch this guy just skate around. That was an extremely impressive showing from him yesterday. If you didn't see it, go see it. This guy literally looks like he's ice skating the entire time he plays football, like just gliding around the field. Kyle Pitts had some pretty good plays. Drake London with that 1 fumble. If he doesn't fumble that, they're probably got their foot on their neck earlier. But yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this Atlanta team progresses throughout the season, because Penix, in my opinion, is impressive. Just the way he throws the ball, the quickness. It's just a guy you trust right now inside the pocket, and it's crazy because it's very early on. He's a second-year quarterback, but what is it, his 5th game? His 5th or 6th game, I think. So he was dicing it up a little bit yesterday. Obviously, there will be growing with him. But for right now, he looks like he has the command of a 25, 26-year-old, which he is because he stayed in college for a while. So obviously that helps. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, what this team can do, because once again, they look dangerous offensively. That O-line was moving people yesterday. Minnesota's defense is just that great to where it's not going to look like that. But I think the biggest question for this Atlanta team is Zach Robinson. What are you calling? Where's the creativity? You got all these guys. Get them open. Go score a touchdown. It's like sometimes there's not a lot of juice when it seems like one of the most explosive skill groups in the NFL, not just in that division, not just in that conference, but in the entire NFL. So I want to see a little bit more creativity, and I'm looking forward to the Falcons being one of the most high-end offenses in football if they can put everything together. If they can't, I think it's time to start looking for an offensive coordinator, and quite honestly, I'm not a big fan of the head coach right now, but we will see how that develops. I'm not calling Raheem Morris out or anything. I'm just not seeing anything great from him. On the other side, Minnesota, they have O-line problems, in my opinion, right now. That's the biggest problem. Their O-line is horrible. Their left tackle, they're obviously missing Christian Darrisaw. They need him back because that left tackle, I think his name was School. You know that one video, I've got to get to school, but my fault. It's just tangent. He wasn't blocking anybody yesterday. I mean, James Pierce, if he wanted to get around him, here you go. Jalen Walker, you want to get around him, here you go. J.J. McCarthy was under pressure. I think he took 6 sacks yesterday. It wasn't great. He was unsettled. And by the time it was time to start delivering the football, he missed a couple times. He missed to Justin Jefferson on an easy out route that he could have just put on him a little bit higher, and that's a first down. He missed on a deep slot fade to Jalen Naylor where if he catches that football, he is scoring. He is scoring. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he beat that slot defender with ease. So if he hits on that, they win. But I think Minnesota's coming out of this game and saying we left a lot of opportunities on the board in one hand. On the other hand, we need to shore up this offensive line very quick because right now it has been the worst display of offensive line play that I've seen in the first 2 weeks. It is bad. It is bad. And JJ, once again, JJ was not good in this game, but I like how he is a gamer. I like the personality of him. I think he could be good in this league. He throws the ball with great velocity. It's not great touch right now, but great velocity. And I think this team could be good if they shore up a couple of things. Right now, their offense is very unorganized and not very buttoned up on that side of the ball. So we will see what happens. Obviously, Jordan Addison will be back soon. Naylor looks like a number 2, quite honestly. So if your number 2 is a number 3, you got guys. You still got Hawkinson, who hasn't been very involved yet. So, yeah, we will see. But one more thing to talk about as we finish up all those games. And I really just want to have this as a conversation piece for you guys. When are we going to start admitting that the NFC is the dominant conference in football right now? You look at it, and are the three best teams in football not Philadelphia, Green Bay, and the Rams? If you're watching those first 2 weeks, obviously you throw Baltimore in there maybe, but Baltimore just lost a game where you're like, in the playoffs, in a playoff setting, are they a top 3 team? Obviously, I'm not going to say yes because they have not shown that. And the Rams have shown that. Green Bay obviously haven't shown that, but now they have Micah Parsons, and them dudes look freaking scary, right? So they are the dominant conference in my opinion. You go 3 for 3. Let's say you pick the Chargers over the Chiefs right now because the Chiefs are 0-2. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, right? Actually, let's just throw the Chiefs in there too. Chiefs, Chargers, Bills, and Ravens. All right, those are your 4 teams. Bills have extreme defensive issues right now. They played the Jets. I'm not giving them a pass. All right. Or no, I'm not giving them a pass for that. So that first week was horrible defensively. Baltimore has problems in the playoffs once again. Kansas City, we don't know what's going on that offensive side of the ball. And the Chargers, they just played one game and they look terrific in it. And if they're playing like that, okay, cool. They might be a top 5 team in football. But you look down the list of the rest of the substance of the NFC, you look at teams like Minnesota, who are still good, Atlanta, who are still good, Detroit, who is still a dominant team and might have just played the best team in football last week, and they just put up a 50-burger yesterday. Oh, I didn't even talk about the Detroit game. Let me do that as well. But you look at Washington. You look at Dallas, whose offensive unit looks great. You look at San Fran, Seattle, Arizona. These teams who at least look middling, and I would say probably Colts tier of football team, not the Cardinals, actually. I don't truly believe that. But you look at a team like, once again, Tampa Bay, right? It's just the substance of the NFC right now is much stronger than the AFC. When you look down the list of, first off, the AFC East, horrible. AFC North, horrible with Joe Burrow out. AFC South, we don't know if there's a dominant team in there. And then you look at the West, are 3 teams going to get in from the West? I mean, so that's a serious question. Are 3 teams going to get into it? Well, maybe. If the Raiders look good tonight, then we probably talking about the Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers or Chiefs as the 3 playoff teams. So I think it's time to start admitting that the NFC is the dominant conference when it comes to the NFL. And that's just me following my eyes, right? I look at NFC teams and I see a lot of teams that could win football games in different ways. AFC, I just don't see that. I see a lot of low-tier teams, Cleveland, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Jags, who just had one of the worst L's I've seen. Obviously, the Titans aren't quite there yet. So we're going to have to see where this season goes. Obviously, I might be speaking a little bit too early, but right now the NFC is easily the dominant conference when it comes to the NFL. Real quick, Chicago and Detroit, and I did want to talk about this because of obviously the Caleb Williams stuff. Detroit, there's really not a lot to talk about. They still have some of the same offensive talent. They still can have games like that, and they did. They scored 52 points yesterday on a Chicago Bears defense that didn't look horrible last week. But they might be. Because in their last 5 quarters, what have they given up? 21 plus 52 is 70. They've given up 73 points in the last 5 quarters. 73 points in the last 5 quarters. So that's they need to worry about that in Chicago. That's a huge issue, right? But you also talk about Caleb Williams, right? And if you've watched this podcast before, you know I have never been a fan of Caleb Williams based off of the person. I'm not going to lie. Him jumping into his mom's arms crying, that was a sign of something. Just him playing the game of football, and it's just not great. He's not he's not an accurate passer. Once again, if this was backyard football, he would probably be the number 1 pick or number 2 behind Patrick Mahomes or number 3, maybe 4 behind Josh Allen and Lamar as well. But I mean, I've watched him, and the first 2 weeks I've watched him, it's like he's a better athlete than I even thought he was in the first place. Like, he is fast. Caleb Williams is a fast player. His arm strength, the zip, the sideline throw he threw to Roma Dunze last week, there's stuff he does where it's like, whoa. But his accuracy is an issue. The backyard football, he rolled out yesterday, the interception he threw unforced, just stupid, not even close to the receiver. I mean, when are we going to start just admitting we are watching one of the bottom tier quarterbacks in football with the Chicago Bears offense? And Ben Johnson is over there just looking sick. And it's like, are they going to go to Tyson Bagent very soon? I mean, we saw some good things from Tyson. When are we going to pull that trigger? Because Chicago, it's not looking like they can beat anybody, let alone the Vikings and the Lions. It's not looking like they can score points against anybody if Caleb Williams is playing like that. Because he's not doing what he's coached. Ben Johnson is scheming up plays to where it should be working out, but he's not hitting these easy throws. Last week, he single-handedly lost him that game. And he looked better yesterday, but it sucks to watch, quite honestly. It sucks because at this point, Caleb Williams is just not a good football player. And the nails. Shout out to Caleb Williams for his nails last week. Suicide prevention nails. Anybody who wants to say anything about his nails, just go ahead, cancel that. Great job, Caleb Williams. I will give you props for that, respect for that. And quite honestly, based off things like that, I love seeing quarterbacks being great humans. I've obviously had questions about his character, but when he does something like that, it makes me root on you. So Caleb Williams, I do actually want to see you do good in this Bears offense, but slow down and quite honestly, start having fun. Like when I watch him, it's like he feels the pressure. Right, he feels the pressure coming at him, and quite honestly, he does have some of the most pressure on him. I would say the most pressure on him right now in the NFL to play good. But just relax, dude. Go out there, have fun, execute, focus on what you need to focus on, and don't make the games bigger than it is. Because I thoroughly do believe if there's a mental change, you could end up at least being a middle of the pack quarterback. Right, I know people's ceiling was like top 5 quarterback. It's hard to be a top 5 quarterback when you got guys like Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Stafford, Daniels. It's hard to be that good in this league, but you can easily be serviceable, especially once again with the foot speed that you have that I didn't even know you had. Quite honestly, I'm rooting on you. So let's get that fixed, please. And yeah. That's all I got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. It has been a wonderful weekend, wonderful 2 weeks of football. And yeah, man, like, comment, subscribe, keep tuning into these things. I'm gonna be trying to drop tonight. I'll be dropping a review on both of the games that happen on Monday night. We'll be talking about that. So yeah, thank you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.